Siam Lee was born in 1997 in Hong Kong, an autonomous territory in southeastern China. She was the daughter of Carmen Nun Lee and a South African businessman whose name I couldn't find. As a child, CM lived in the city of Johannesburg, South Africa. However, when she was 5 years old, her father died and she had to move with her mother to the city of Durban, also in South Africa. CM had dreams of one day becoming a teacher and traveling the world. According to family and friends, she was kind, friendly, and a young woman who somehow managed to convey peace to people. CM attended Crawford College. As a teenager, she held several jobs, including waitressing and selling chemicals for swimming pools. In the year 2017, when CM was 20 years old, things changed. The young woman started working with sensual massages. She offered her services on an adult-owned website along with her mother under the moniker Student in Training. Carmen, the young woman's mother, said that they worked together and that she only allowed CM to do massages, nothing more. However, according to some sources, CM had also started offering escort services. She had an advertisement on the website saying that she made all kinds of fantasies come true. Her goal was to save enough money to pay for college in the future. One of the customers that CM served was a man named Philanan Tuli. He was a businessman and was 28 years old at the time of the incident. One day, he hired the young woman's services and picked her up in a black Mercedes at the door of her house. The two left, and around 10 p.m., he brought the young woman home again. CM looked quite upset and stressed when she came home. According to her mother, the young woman even said that she never wanted to see that man again. On January 4, 2018, CM Lee disappeared. On that day, it is known that around 4 p.m., a man arrived at the massage parlor where CM and her mother worked. This man was in a black Mercedes and armed. After leaving the scene, the man drove at high speed, even losing control and hitting another vehicle. He didn't stop, and with that, the driver of the vehicle he hit started chasing him, but at some point he distanced himself and fled. After the news of the disappearance, searches for CM spread throughout the province. The girl's disappearance sensitized the entire local community, and several people mobilized to help in the search. CM was last seen outside the massage parlor. She was barefoot and wearing a sundress. The young woman's family went to the police, saying they suspected that she had been taken against her will by Philanan, and that he was the man who entered the massage parlor armed and left there very upset. The private detective Brett Nathanson was hired to investigate the case in parallel with the police and assist in formulating hypotheses about what could have happened. The detective, considered one of the best in his field, was hired by CM's father's family, who are residents of Australia. The young woman's disappearance ended up exposing the massage parlor where she and her mother worked, located in an upscale neighborhood of Durban. After the disappearance, several intimate photos of her and her mother surfaced, causing significant discomfort for many people. The police, along with a team of private detectives, visited several massage parlors in the city. They discovered that CM and her mother had been attending to some customers on the day of her disappearance. Carmen, CM's mother, was summoned for questioning during the investigations. She was not arrested or charged, but had to provide some clarifications. The owner of the property where the massage parlor operated claimed that he didn't know his property was being used for that type of activity. According to him, he simply rented the place to a friend and only cared about receiving the rent. However, the police were skeptical of his version. During the investigation, the establishment became the target of multiple surprise raids by authorities attempting to find evidence that could aid in solving the case. A week after CM's disappearance, a farmer taking his grandson fishing found a human body in a sugarcane field. The man immediately reported it to the police, who arrived at the scene to investigate. After forensic examination, the body was identified as that of CM. In a statement to the police, the farmer explained that he first noticed a charred piece of sugarcane on an isolated road, which drew his attention. He stated that, as a former military serviceman who who had seen terrible things. What he witnessed that day deeply shocked him. The man added that it took him a while to even believe it was a human body due to its condition. Forensic experts detected a strong smell of gasoline at the scene, suggesting that the perpetrator had used fuel to set the body on fire. It was also inferred that the crime occurred at night when the perpetrator knew no one would be nearby. Had it not been for a drizzle during the night of the murder, the entire field might have been burned. The body was discovered in the region of New Hanover. A small town in the district of KwaZulu-Natal, 100 kilometers from the city, was where the young woman was taken. According to the police, the young woman was handcuffed with a blanket over her head. Her face was unrecognizable, and the murder weapon was probably a hammer. The necropsy indicated that the cause of death was due to a large hemorrhage caused by numerous injuries to the head region. It was also found that the young woman had 90% of her body burned after being lifeless. Family members confirmed through belongings found at the scene that it really was Siam Lee. But even so, the authorities preferred to carry out a DNA test to be 100% sure. Subsequently, the result of this examination proved that in fact the body found belonged to Siam Lee. The crime not only shocked the young woman's family, but also the entire country. The dynamics of the crime, and not just its brutality, indicated that the person responsible was very angry with the victim. During investigations, police discovered that Fulani's car was involved in an accident not far from where Siam was last seen alive. The same accident had been reported earlier by the driver, who was hit by the vehicle at high speed. At one point in the investigation, the detective in charge of the case found a girl who said she had been taken by force and forced to have relations with Fulani 2 years earlier. This girl provided the address of where everything had happened, and the place she pointed out was Fulani's house. In addition to this information, the police also discovered that the tracking system of the vehicle that Fulani was using placed him in the same location where Siam's body was found. Detectives noted that he didn't bother using a vehicle with tracking, as the car was in someone else's name. However, he didn't count on the fact that several witnesses saw him using the car that day. With that, Fulani became the prime suspect in the crime. During a search of his house, the police found several products to stimulate and improve intimate relations. However, there were no condoms or anything that could prevent STDs. Later, the police discovered that Fulani had AIDS and that he used to transmit the virus on purpose. It was also discovered that he used to attract women with job proposals and then forced relations with them. In addition, there were already numerous complaints of embezzlement against him from people who claimed that he convinced them to invest money in companies that didn't exist. Fulani was arrested by the police 2 weeks after the crime. After the arrest, the police closely followed his business dealings to see if they could find any irregularities. According to them, the man had a long list of companies registered in his name, only 2 of which were active. In police custody, Fulani confessed to all the crimes. In his confession, he said he met Siam a few months ago when he lent her 500 rand. According to him, the young woman said it was for her personal project and promised to pay it back, but ended up not paying. On the day of the murder, he said he had lost his temper with Siam and went to her job with handcuffs and a gun to demand his money. The young woman reportedly told him that she didn't have the money and wouldn't be able to pay him, which made him even angrier. From then on, he said he had the idea of taking the girl by force and then asking for a ransom from one of her relatives. While Siam was under his control, Fulani forced relations with her several times. The young woman allegedly said that no matter what happened when she was released, she would go straight to the police. With that, Fulani decided to take her life. Initially, he tried to suffocate her, but was unsuccessful. He said that during his attempts, the young woman's legs were shaking and he couldn't bear to see that. He then gave up on that method and went to the garage, where he picked up a hammer. Afterwards, he placed a blanket over Siam's head so he couldn't see her face, and landed several blows. After realizing what he had done, Fulani said he panicked and went to a gas station in the city to buy 25 liters of gasoline. He stayed at the scene for a few minutes, and despite the security cameras being turned off at the time, an establishment attendant later recognized him. This same attendant said that he already knew Fulani as a regular customer of the place. After that, Fulani proceeded with the young woman's body to a region called Cattle Ridge with the intention of getting rid of it, but there were many people around which made him give up the idea. He then proceeded to New Hanover, where he placed the body in a sugarcane field and set it on fire. The detective in charge of the case said that the first officer to arrive at the scene called him crying, and he began to cry too. He said he didn't know the victim in life, but that he never cared so much about a case as he did about this one. According to him, after receiving the sad news, he knelt down and asked God to help him find the person responsible. Throughout his confession, Fulani didn't show a single ounce of emotion. The man coldly described all the details of what he had done to the young woman and never lost his temper. I didn't find information confirming whether Fulani actually loaned money to Siam, but it seems that this was an invention on his part in an attempt to justify his actions. Shortly thereafter, Fulani's defense attorney filed a lawsuit so that his client could answer for the crime and freedom. According to him, his client's arrest was irregular since, in addition to the police officers who arrested him, there was also a team of private detectives hired by the victim's family, and they could not have participated in the arrest. Justice accepted the argument, and with that, Fulani was released on bail to wait in freedom until his trial date. In May 2019, the accused appeared at a pre-trial hearing. According to sources, the man looked very different and had to leave the courtroom with the help of crutches. It was then that, in June 2019, Fulani Ntuli passed away due to skin cancer at the age of 30. As soon as the news of his death was released by the media, a large part of the population began to speculate that this could be a maneuver by the accused to escape justice. The prosecution started an investigation to confirm whether Fulani had actually passed away. They asked the funeral home that had the accused's body for its fingerprints to compare with the ones they had in the police database. In addition, a court official made a visual inspection of the body to confirm that it really was the accused. Both the digital comparison and the visual inspection of the body confirmed that it was indeed Fulani Ntuli. In a statement, the state prosecutor in charge of the case said that this turn of fate for Fulani was sad because, in a way, he had escaped state justice. Siam's family had the same feeling, but they said that now the criminal couldn't hurt anyone else. Do you remember the girl who told the detectives that she was also taken by Fulani and helped the investigation? Her name was Jessica Wires, and in November 2020, her body was found on a sports field with injuries on her hands and throat. Jessica was last seen alive leaving her apartment around 5:30 p.m. Before leaving, she told her family that she was going to visit a friend but never returned home. Jessica was 23 years old, and it is not known if what happened to her was related to Siam's case. To this day, Jessica's case has not been solved. Do you remember the girl who told the detectives that she was also taken by Fulani and helped the investigation? Her name was Jessica Wires, and in November 2020, her body was found on a sports field with injuries on her hands and throat. Jessica was last seen alive leaving her apartment around 5:30 p.m. Before leaving, she told her family that she was going to visit a friend, but never returned home. Jessica was 23 years old, and it is not known if what happened to her was related to Siam's case. To this day, Jessica's case has not been solved. After the crime, Siam's mother moved from her home into her bed and currently lives in the city of Pleasanton. About her daughter, she said that they both loved each other very much, and that she knows she wasn't the perfect mother, but that the young woman always forgave her for all her mistakes. Well, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching until the end. Best wishes, and I'll see you next time.